Hey everybody, it's Michael Fair from filmfestivalcircuit.com, and today we are here to talk about the Georgia Comedy Film Festival Summer 2024 coming up. We're going to be at Landmark Midtown in Atlanta for the first time. We're really excited about it. I'm joined today by an award finalist who is a screenwriter, and her screenplay is It's Christmas Carol. So we are excited. Nominated for the most competitive category in the entire festival, which is comedy feature screenplay. So please introduce yourself for us.
Hi, my name is Jessica Mathis legally. I have a pen and stage name I've used for a long time, Divinity Rose. And then Facebook forced me to upload a driver's license and locked my account with thousands of people on it and they forced it to change to my legal name. So that's why now I have to put both on everything because people are just confused. So I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's good to meet you for the first time, and I look forward to meeting you at the festival as well. So I appreciate that. Well, tell us the synopsis. What is It's Christmas Carol about?
It's Christmas Carol is a reverse Charles Dickens. So instead of a guy who's a jerk and needs to learn to be nicer, it's a girl who's too nice, like so many women, has trouble saying no, doesn't understand boundaries or red flags. She's so nice that she brings a homeless guy home on Christmas Eve who's a shaman, quote unquote, and he ends up putting plant medicine or peyote in her tea. So she starts having hallucinations. A drag queen that she works with is really worried about her and wants to get her to his all-night drag party. So she's not alone and she can meet friends and he can watch out for her. He doesn't know that she's had the plant medicine, but he's worried about her because he discovers she's brought this homeless guy home. So he sends 3 drag queens out to get her. And they all have like different personalities. One's super peppy, one's snarky, one's more sarcastic. And they are like the ghosts of past, present, and future as they try to get her made over into the ball, basically. And that journey takes them across town to a wishy-washy boyfriends of hers, to a department store to find new outfits. And about halfway through, they find out she's had plant medicine and then they want some. So they end up all hallucinating and on this wild journey to get her to the ball. And along the way with her hallucination, she learns about red flags and boundaries. So.
All right. Well, I guess the next logical question is why? Why write this story?
Why this fever dream? Well, so I was in foster homes as a child. I was adopted. I went through a lot of tough stuff as a kid and had PTSD when I was younger. And I still, obviously have it, but I've done a lot of work through that. And so over the years, learning through PTSD, but also ADHD with autistic tendencies, to say no and be okay saying no instead of people pleasing as a survival tactic. But as I worked through it and women started seeing another project I made called Triggered about women with PTSD, they just started coming out of the shadows like clockwork, taking me to lunch, everything. Every woman I know not every woman, but a lot of women get it and they relate to it because they have trouble saying no, or they are people pleasers. And I know a fair amount of guys who do that as well. It can be a trauma response called fawning. So as I really started to process that after a relationship, where it became apparent how much I was putting into it, like overkill from the get-go, I started to write this story, just really starting to process that people pleasing and the journey to setting boundaries, which is much bigger than a one feature film can allow for. So I had to figure out a way to just kind of barely touch on it and go through just the topic of it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, but I also tend to deal with things very silly. So I had to really make it silly and add the acid and stuff to take away from the medicine of the message. Yeah.
Well, it comes from a personal place. You can tell that in the writing. And one of the first things I thought of when I was reading it is it also kind of fits fantasy genres a little bit. I mean, I know it's a hallucination, not like, magic, like, Gandalf or Lord of the Rings or something like that. But you've got kind of this like trippy vibe to the whole thing that it's, it'll be interesting to see how it's executed if it becomes a film, which that's my next question. So is there a plan? Like, where is this going? Is this something you just want to sell? Like, hey, made it, I'm out? Or is it something
I tell people, I'm like, if somebody offered me money, I'd probably just sell it. I just probably sell it. But I do have some producers that really love it. I have a lot of people. We've done a table read in Kentucky with it. With the first draft, we did a full table read with actors and it was so much fun. And with some revisions, I've done some shorter, like clipped out table reads as I worked on it. And I still want to do, I think, one more revision, but they were pushing me at first to make it and direct it, because I do direct projects. However, I have never directed a feature, and I love this one so much I don't want to mess it up. I would like to see it get made, and we've started. One of the reasons we entered the festival was for some feedback. I've done a lot of screenwriting, and I've gotten a lot of feedback, or been in like finals for Ron Howard's Imagine Impact or Disney ABC or Sundance Episodic Labs, but wanted specific feedback a little bit before we approach talent to see if there's maybe one more revision to do, and then try to like find some inroads to talent. And we have a manager right now who's pitched us on some leads for Carol, but I really think it would be a lot of fun to find her character just has to be just right to make sense of why she's such a pushover, for people not to be like, this is unbelievable. So yeah.
All right. Well, if I was comparing this to anything else in the market, like what type of film would this be? Is there anything similar that's been made maybe in the last 10 years?
Yeah, it's such a, sorry, my ADHD jumped in there. It's such a cult or niche thing, but like The Bitch Who Stole Christmas that RuPaul did before is a lot of fun, but probably even a little more mainstream than that one. But I always like it's Leaving Las Vegas. So yeah.
All right. I like that. You should put that in your marketing material somewhere.
It's on the pitch deck. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about what you have. You're talking pitch deck, so let's talk about what you have planned in the future. You got any other projects going on?
That's a big question. So in Kentucky, I run a series of events, much like I know they have in Atlanta as well. I've supported those. I plan to support them when I'm back down there. I'm actually might submit to pitch this at the Atlanta pitch, if I can get it in while I'm there. But so I run, and also monthly table reads in 2 cities now. We just started Lexington last night. So Louisville and Lexington, we do monthly table reads where actors and writers come out. The writers submit in advance. We pick 3. They have 10 to 12 pages, and the actors show up, and the writers will read off characters, and people raise their hands and they pick their actors, and then we read them right there, and they can get feedback right there at the events from the people who are there. And it's been really inspiring and great, and writers figure out what they need to work on, and the actors get practice cold reading, and it's been a really good way for our community here to connect. So I'm involved in that a lot. But I'm always writing. I have 6 TV pilots. I have other features and pilots I want to write. I'm hosting a screenplay competition this year that's very specific. It can be from anybody in the U.S., but the thing has to be set in or prominently feature Kentucky and some other criteria. And then I've got my Triggered project. That's a series of 10 animations we'd like to expand. I just executive produced and directed a comedy special for somebody last year that's this amazing moving about body autonomy, and so that's it's done. It's almost done. It's so close. And actually our editor is from Atlanta. I met him at the Pitch Atlanta event last time I went. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Well,
there's a lot.
I'll tell you what,
there's a lot on the
you
plate.
do have a lot of good things, though, a lot of industry things, I see you really investing your time into people and into these artistic projects. And, we have a link in the description. So if anyone wants to come to the YouTube version of this video, we do have a link to your link tree so they can keep up with the many things that Jessica's doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I want to pick your brain a little bit, just because we were talking about a little bit off camera about maybe ways to help screenwriters, open up a little bit more at the festivals. It's been my observation sometimes that there are some people, it's not always screenwriters, I don't want to pick on screenwriters, but some people, when they come to a film festival experience, they have a tendency to during the networking sessions to maybe sip on a drink, sit in the corner and look at their phone and appear to be a little unapproachable.
That's true.
I try to coach, and I've written an article, but any advice that you have being experienced in this area with really making the most of any film oriented event like this?
Yeah. writers are introverts. We spend a lot of time in our own heads. I just happen to also be a performer from a background in stand-up comedy and doing a lot of theater acting and also a producer. So I tend to be a little more bubbly and throwing myself out there than a lot of writers. So it's hard for me to necessarily give them that advice of how to find that if they don't have that. But I think festivals can really help screenwriters by getting somebody in there who is an instigator, who is the club mom basically, or dad, that goes over like, hey, how are you, let me introduce you to somebody, and like pulls them in and makes them feel more comfortable, and then they'll open up. For writers, I think you just have to like, some people are just like they're literally shuddering or gagging at the thought of going up and introducing or promoting themselves to strangers. And I also, as extroverted as I am, that is my form of social awkward. I'm like, oh God, say something. Like, instead of hide, I'm like, say something. This is so awkward and weird. I don't know my role. So what I started doing at festivals is just like, when I see groups of people talking that look like they're in a circle, so they look like they've embraced each other, at least I'll pop in and be like, hey guys, can I crash your party? I don't know anybody here. And taking that vulnerable approach, usually people are very welcoming, and they're very like, oh, come on in, you know, and then you kind of like feel a little more comfortable, and then you can open up a little more and be like, you don't know anybody, can I join your circle? You know, how many people are going to be like, no, jerk, no, go away. So that's one way to, like, you know, kind of open the door in a vulnerable way, in a human way that's hard to reject. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for giving out that. I might cut that and make that a little Facebook short or something.
Sure,
like
whatever.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking to you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
You know, I just think that what you guys are doing is really organized and great. You know, I've seen festivals from the outside. I've participated in some. All your communications are so clear, but also like you're so helpful. You have so many organized articles and videos for people to watch to help them through the confusing process of not just the festival, but the industry. This industry is crazy because there's people who didn't go to school. There's people who just jumped on a film set. There's people who are like, you look like you do, and pull them into a set, and then they became filmmakers, you know. And so not everybody knows all the same rules all the time. So when you have people like us that actually care about like the other people around us and want to say, guys, here's a standard that will help you a lot, that's so valuable, you know.
Thank you.
So thank you to the judges for reading this. I've been a reader for festivals or contests and things like that, and a judge for film festivals, and it's a lot of work for free or very little pay. So thank you for your time and your efforts in doing this for the community.
You're very welcome. And our judges, you know, it is a labor of love. We do pay all of our judges. Obviously not enough, but it's a labor of love. I mean, when you sit down and you know, you've got, you know, 37 features to read, you know, in a month. It takes timing and pacing and planning, and because you also want to hold focus.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not just reading them. You have to like and analyze them to make notes. So yeah.
Sure. Those are definitely my most dedicated judges, the ones that like to read, you know, shorts are one thing, but man, to read features is tough because you're trying to visualize so much. And for screenwriters, you know, that's one of the things. I give them a little tip. That's one of the things that we grade is how easy is it in the way that you describe the actions that are happening, the way that you describe your characters, what they're wearing, where they are, what time of day it is, you know, how maybe they're positioned in the room, if they're walking or running or talking or sitting or whatever. All those help. There's a visual cues, and they make it a lot easier for people to visualize, and you score big points for that, for really painting a picture of a scene. And I know some people, maybe they don't want to overstep, because the purpose of a screenplay versus a novel is that these are a set of instructions that you're handing to a production saying, go make this. And some people may not want to overstep, but I think setting it up and putting as much of your vision in there is beneficial. And you do a great job of that in yours.
Thank you.
I can tell you're a very visual person, and I can also tell that you've been on set. There's a difference, right? And but good job on this. We appreciate you. You definitely earned it. High marks from the judges. Congrats on your award nomination, and we look forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
I look forward to meeting you guys. Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Bye. Thanks so much, Michael.
You're welcome.